Good day everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing equations and inequalities. We are asked to draw the following pair of graphs on one set of axes. Now, by looking at the nature and scope of this question, it's clear that we are asked to construct a Cartesian plane. So now we firstly gonna need to take our instrument, our ruler, and construct the Cartesian plane. Here we have our y-axis, we have our x-axis. Okay, now what we need to do now, essentially we just covered the actual axis, and indicating this we have our x-axis and we also have our y-axis. What is important here is to actually indicate or annotate the actual intervals. In this case we start off from 0, so these are our intervals. 3, 4. Just stop there, and then these are negative values below along the y-axis. Similarly, along the x-axis we do the same. Six, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You just simply stop at 6. Okay, so now essentially we have just indicated the different intervals, but we need to now annotate the actual values. So we know that from 0, this is the origin, this point here, this is the origin. So x is 0 and y is also 0. So moving along the x-axis to the right, we have 1, 2, these are positive values, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can just simply stop at 7. And then looking at from the origin to the left along our x-axis, we have negative values. So we have negative 1. Right. This is negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, and then negative 6. Now we have negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4. And then we have positive 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. Okay, so essentially now we have our Cartesian plane, or our graduated Cartesian plane, because now we have actually indicated the markings. Now what we ask, the first question that they ask us to do, it says draw the following pair of graphs on one set of axes. So we have one set of axes here, and then A says y is equals to x plus 4. So now what we need to do in terms of calculations to be able to draw or represent that equation on this graph here, we're simply gonna need to do this. So you have question A, we have y is equals to x plus 4. So now what we need to do, we can actually start with either one of these two variables. So essentially we can start with x, our independent variable x, so we have 0. I'll make x 0, and then plus 4, because now I want to find the value of y, remember. So because essentially we're looking at the intercept of y. So when x is equals to 0, y is equals to 4. And essentially, so what we do here, when x is equals to 0, y is equals to 4. That's what we found here. Let's see what happens when y is equals to 0. So we still use the same equation. We just rewrite it down here, just for reference purposes and consistency. So we have 0 is equals to, still have x plus 4. Now this time x remains our variable, and then y changes now to become 0, so we just change y to become 0. And then since y is equals to 0, we notice now x and 4, or rather positive 4, we only have one variable, which is x in this case, and the constant is positive 4. So since 4 is positive, if it moves over the equal sign, it becomes negative 4, and we only remain with x the side. So 0 subtract 4 will just become, x just remains to be negative 4. So when y is equals to 0, when y is equals to 0, we saw here, when y is equals to 0, especially here, when y is equals to 0, x is equals to negative 4. That's what we found here. Okay, x is equals to negative 4. So what this means now, looking at these two coordinates, sets of coordinates, this set and that, what we need to do now is just to look for the intercept along the x and y axis. So x, when x is equals to 0, y is equals to 4, or positive 4. So when x is equals to 0, y is equals to positive 4. That's the point there. That's the point when x is equals to 0, y is equals to 4. That's the point there. And then when x is equals to negative 4, y is equals to 0. So first look at 0 where what y is. In this case, y is, we know y, when it's, y is 0, it's this where the origin. And then moving along the x-axis, we look for negative 4. That's the intercept. This addresses this, and then this addresses that point here. Okay, now because I have found those two coordinates, and what we need to do now is just to simply join those intercepts by means of a line. So this equation here thus means that this equation is y is equals to x plus 4. That's the equation of that line there that is given. Now, and then we also asked to find the pair of graphs on the same axis when y is equals to negative 1. So in this case, what we need to do now is just to simply look for, because now we are not given x, we don't have x in this case. Sorry, we don't have x in this case, so what we simply need to do is just to look for our y variable. So y is equals to negative 1. So negative 1 is along this line here. So we just draw, similarly we draw a solid line like that. Sorry, draw a solid line. Remember, the gradient is just simply 0. So that's our solid line. So what we have done now, we have actually addressed the first question that asks us to draw the pair of graphs on one set of axes. So now this equation for this line, y is equals to just simply -1. Now notice the gradient is just simply 0. Now, looking at the second question, now it says, it says, how can you use the graphs to solve the equation? Now, essentially what we need to do now by looking at this question, we are asked to actually use, in fact, to infer and be able to address the question that is already given, on the first question, which is question A. So how can you use the graphs to solve the equation x plus 4 is equals to -1? Now, in this case, the question is just basically asking us to find the intercept or the intersection of those two graphs. So where they meet, they primarily meet at this point here. In fact, let me indicate the point where these two graphs intersect. So they intersect here. That's where they meet. So for question B, you just need to find the intersection of those two graphs. So the intersection is at this point here. So we know that the intersection is at where x is equals to -5, and then when y is equals to -1. Okay, that's what it essentially means for this question, second question. Because when we look at, in fact, let me actually explain this further. It's of great importance to explain this further, because we are given x plus 4 is equals to -1. Now, x is a variable, so you only have -1 on the side. So +4 is a constant, so, and it's positive. If it moves over, it becomes -4. So we only remain with x, so it's equals to -5. X is equals to -5, hence -5 there. Okay, so we addressed the second question. And then lastly, it asks us to write down the solution to the given equation. So essentially now for this third question, C, question C. Question C asks us to write down the solution to the given equation. So the solution is just simply x is equals to -5. That's what we already found there. In fact, this is what we found here. X being equals to -5. And then that brings us to the end of this presentation. So thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to comment so that I can be able to highlight certain points relating to equations and inequalities. There's more videos coming relating to equations and inequalities, and also relating to simultaneous equations. Don't forget to subscribe and practice mathematics. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.